Okay, so here we are going to see what other things we can use to map incoming request to a controller and a method of it. Okay. So this is an example where we could actually add parameters as a way of specifying which method and which controller to be used. So suppose we want to use this method to handle the request only when it does have request parameters. So in this case, suppose you have an incoming request of my app / owner / 3 pattern / 5 and then question mark here. So this is a request parameters, key value pair, my param and my value. Okay. So in request mapping annotation, you can specify params attribute, my param and my value. What it means is that this method will be invoked only when the URL request also has this my param equal my value. If it doesn't have it, suppose URL doesn't have it, then this method will not be selected to handle it. In that case, it's going to result in 4.4 error. Okay, so if you want to further down the selection of a method with, in this case, request params, then this is how you do it. Okay, so you're basically using params attribute. You can also use the HTTP header condition. So in this case, this method add path will be invoked only when the headers contain content type is text type. Okay, so headers, and you can specify multiple of this. In this case, as long as content type is the text and / whatever, this method will be used. Okay. However, if the content type is not text type and this method will not be selected, again, that could result in 4.4. Okay. So again, this is another way that you can further narrowing the selection of a method. Okay, handler method argument. These are the objects that are automatically created by Spring Framework, Spring MVC Framework. So only thing you have to do is just use these type as an argument, just like a model object. In order to use a model object, all you have to do is just specify it as an argument, right? Same thing for these type of objects. So if you want to have an access to servlet request object, or for the usually HTTP servlet request object, then you just receive it as an argument. Okay, so they will be in fact created and injected as an argument. If you want to have an access to HTTP session object, again, you can receive it as an argument. Same thing for locale. If you want to actually get the locale object, you just receive it as an argument. And the last one is principal. So if you want to actually get the information about the currently authenticated user in the form of principal object, you just use it. Okay. We have already seen example of path variable, right? And another one is request param. So this is a case that I want to receive this 1 to 3 or whatever value after this one as an argument value. Then we have to use a path variable, right? Another case is that if there is a request parameters and I want to capture this value, ABC, XYZ, whatever, for name X, and if I want to capture this value, then I have to use request param annotation. Here you have to specify name X. This one and this one has to match. Okay. So this is an example of path variable. Again, we have seen this one before, right? So suppose there is a URL comes in with paths and /4 and paths /10. If you want to capture these 4 and 10 as values, we are going to use a path variable. Right? So that is what we have seen already. In this case, we are capturing as an int type. The type conversion automatically is performed by the framework. Okay, so this is a path variable. Now, request param, this is the first time you are seeing this example. So if there is a request params like a path question mark, path ID 4, path ID 10, then if I want to capture this value 4 or 10 or whatever, then we have to use request param annotation. Here you have to specify the name of this request param. So path ID and path ID, they have to match. And the value, the type it is either string or int, long, whatever, and that will be automatically converted for you. Okay. Okay, moving forward. You can use also the request header and body. So in this case, so this is a case. Suppose I want to access request header, and then you can use a request header notation. Then you specify name of the request header. So in this case, if you want to display, if you want to have an access to accept the request header, then you are going to use a request header like this. Okay. Response body is actually something that you can use to get the contents of HTTP body. Okay. All right. So in this case, we are just returning it back, the contents of it. All right. So let's do exercise 2. So exercise 2 here, we are exercising. In this case, we are exercising request param. So we're gonna actually capture the value of Boston, Seoul as the value of my city request param. And here we are trying to get the locale and HTTP servlet request. And here we are displaying some headers. Okay. All right. So let's see how that works. So I am going to stop, and we are going to handle arguments and run as Java application and main application. Click OK. Okay, so that's done. So let's actually go to localhost 8080. That looks like Firefox is definitely having some caching issues. Why is actually? So I'm gonna just restart. Yeah, if this behavior happens, you just have to restart it. That's all. Okay, go to 8080. Oh, did I actually stop that, the previous application? So let me just make sure I stopped it and run as Java application. Okay, so it's definitely restarting. Okay, so it's done. So let me just do it again. Is this the one that we are looking for? Oh, it's not it. So handler argument. Why just keep displaying the old? Yeah. I'm still displaying the old one. So let me just make sure we are studying. We don't have anything here. Okay. So Ramakashana suggests the control R. Let me see whether control R will actually do anything. Yeah, it doesn't. Why is actually still capturing? It looks like my setting of my browsers is actually kind of still using the cache, and I restarted it, and why is actually, yeah. All right, so I'm gonna actually continue with the presentation, and I'll figure these things out later. Okay. So when you click the My City Boston, basically we are capturing Boston here, and it should actually display I live in Boston. And if you select the Seoul, it should actually display the sol, of course. And if you take a look at the code, so this is where we are using path variable, and this is the case that we are using request param, and here we are using locale. So basically it should display a country. So when you do this, yeah, so this is, if you click this guy, it will display the country information. And this is the we are just displaying the accept header. And this one is, so this is the case that we are just sending the response back directly in both cases, this case and this case. So we should actually display accept header information. Okay. In this case, so this is the same thing as this. So in this case, it's using the name of the argument as the name of the header. So these two are the same thing. Okay. So in this case, for your own exercise, I want you to have both two request params. Okay. All right. So that is the end of the exercise 2. So let me just make sure. See, I'm still having some issues. Let me see if I have. Okay, so I'm gonna just